Hey, my name's Jay with Gorilla ROI. Let me take you through this Amazon FBA calculator. It's best to start backwards, so let me quickly go through the fee table. This has been updated with the latest values. You can always go through and update if Amazon makes changes to their fees. The main thing to understand is anything inside the yellow columns means that it's a manual entry. If it's in white, then it's a calculation, as you can see here. Dimension weighted, I won't go through each of the columns and the definitions because it's self-explanatory, but dimension weighted means, for example, there's two where it doesn't use a dimensional weight. And those are the standard size or the small sizes. Anything that goes into the bulky size range is dimensionally weighted so that you will be charged based on either the greater value of the weight or the 3D dimension of the package. Based on each, you can see the total FBA fee associated with it because there's always a base cost and then there's extra depending on whatever the weight is. So this is how we calculate. You'll get the fee calculated inside the calculator. Right now, as an example, in the calculator, I've got it set to a $100 price point with just a random 1 by 1 by 1 inch, so just a little random cube. And based on this price point of $100, it calculates the fee or the cost using the formula. You also want to look at the storage costs depending on the time, the month it is in the year, as it differs between the majority of the year from Q1 to Q3 and then starting from Q4 when everything jumps. The next table down shows you the categories as well as the referral fees. This is coming directly from Amazon. So if there is an adjustment to the referral percentage, then you want to make an update accordingly. Again, update it in the yellow columns where it's manual. The white column is automatically updated with a formula. And then the final two smaller columns or tables at the end is related to shipments. So just how much volume for a container, as well as just to make calculations easier. So with that definition, let's get into the calculator. There are two sections with this calculator. First, there's the inputs, which is on the left side in the green section, and then there is the outputs, which is the blue. So based on what you put in, you're going to get a value, or you're going to get all of the outputs on the right side. The inputs, again, uses the feed table. So that's why I started backwards, to show you that this feeds into this. Let's select a category. Let's just say camera and photo. And let's say I will be selling a $1,000 camera. The box dimension is going to be 10 inches in length, 5 inches in width, and let's say 5 inches in height. And the weight is going to be about 5 pounds. Okay, make note of the different notes here. Once you get into a certain range, you're going to be in the oversized or bulky category. And so when you're sourcing, you want to make sure or find, even for packaging, you always want to find where that next lesser category is, that level is, so that you can pay less in fees. Let's say the average months of storage for this product is 6 months. I think that's fine, just as an example. And per case, because it's an expensive product, let's say 4. Now the manufacturer cost per unit, this is the price that you pay to actually to the supplier, the manufacturer, and let's say it's $500. Freight cost per unit is going to be from wherever you're getting it from, whether it's within the US or UK or wherever, China, overseas, anywhere. What is the total cost per unit of the freight? With insurance, you can add insurance and everything. This encapsulates everything. I'm going to assume that this is going to be $25 per unit. And then duties and tax per unit, you can go check. We've even included a link so that you can click this, open up the page, and then see what your tax rate is. Let's make this about 25% with all the tariffs and the extra duties and stuff going on. It's saying now that the total cost landed is $650. I'm going to, now if you go straight from the supplier into Amazon, whether it's through AWD, if you're shipping things from China or whatever, this will be your landed cost into the Amazon system, right? But what if you fulfill it, you receive it into your own warehouse, and then you house it, you store it. You have to do your own internal processing. Your employees have to QC it. You have to put some extra labels on it. You make this whole camera into a camera package system, whatever it is. Then in that case, let's change this from 35 cents over to the manual cost of, let's say $10 per unit. Okay, now with all of this inputs, let's go over to the output section, the calculations. Based on this, it tells me that the product falls into the large standard size category of over 3 pounds. It gives me the actual cubic for the dimensional weights. You can then use this to have a better understanding of, again, what your fees are going to be. The total FBA cost and the fee is going to be $7.05. Okay. And depending on how much I'm ordering with a 20-foot container, this is why the fee table includes a container volume at the bottom here. The calculator tells me that if I was to order a 20-foot container, then I would need about this many units and this many cases, because it's using the CBM of 26 for a 20-foot and 56 for a 40-foot. And then you can adjust accordingly. The next section goes through the Amazon referral fees. This camera in particular, camera and photo, it's under a 8% referral fee. So if you go into the fee table, go into camera and photo, it's set at 8%. And for any additional details, you can see that there is no bracket or tiers within this category. For example, in this one, which is electronic accessories, 15% up to $100 is 15%, and then anything above $100 is 8%. Whereas with cameras, it's just 8% throughout. Using that with a minimum fee of 30 cents, the total referral fee comes out to $80 because, again, my sale price is $1,000. Then with the storage fees, depending on the season. Right now, as I'm recording this, this is March, and so it's going to be in the non-peak storage rate. So per cubic feet, it's going to be 87 cents. And then during Q4, it's going to be $2.40. So estimate, if you just average it out, it's going to be $1.10. And then depending on the number of months you have in storage, you'll be able to find out what that calculation is. So finally, you've got the landed cost. And I say before FBA, just so that it's easier to understand. Shipping to FBA, landed cost, and then once you get it into FBA, then that's a different cost. So $660 here. The total profit, again, is the calculation of everything that you've got here. So you've got your landed cost, you've got the price, you've got your total landed cost here. So based on that, your total profit becomes this. Because we're taking the landed cost with all of this, with the referral fees, subtract the FBA fee, and then your total profit margin will become this, and the total percent will be 25.2%. Now, remember that this does not include your operating expenses, like say your employee insurance, or if you have a company car, your car expenses, other business expenses, general supplies, things like that. So this is an adjusted gross profit, or you can just say adjusted operating earnings. Just remember that it doesn't include all of your operating expenses. So whatever the final number is, your net is going to be much lower based on what your operating expenses are. But at least using this, you'll be able to get a quick ballpark number without having to constantly go into Seller Central and then having to click like 20 clicks and go through, find ASINs, etc. To be able to quickly calculate whether a product is feasible or not. So if you're talking with a supplier, or if you're scrolling through Alibaba and you find like, say, a widget, a yo-yo, and then you think that it's going to be, you'll be able to sell a 3-pack for $15, let's say 5 inches, 3 by 3, 5 by 3, it's going to be £2. Yo-yo, let's say it stays in 10 months, and then 12 units per case, and then per unit or per case or per SKU is going to be about, say, $3. It cost $1 to get here, 25%. Labor cost is going to be 0.5, okay? So I'm just rattling off all of these numbers, but it's not like it's that difficult. And then change this to, say, is there something for sports? Let's see, sports and outdoors, here we go. And then the final product would be a 16%. So this would be like, no, I don't think this is going to work. And so you can quickly go through and analyze what a potential product would be. Okay, so it's so much easier going through a profit analysis exercise using this FBA calculator directly from Google Sheets, as opposed to, just fiddling around with in Seller Central. Now we have at Gorilla ROI an automated way of doing this, where based on your current inventory and current SKUs, we can pull all of this information like your weights, your dimension information, your storage fees, and we calculate and pull in all the data from Amazon directly from the reports to be able to get the accurate profit margin and the profit dollar per SKU. So if that's something you're interested in, if you already work in Google Sheets and you're trying to optimize and automate and streamline your data and operations, then check out Gorilla ROI, because it's going to be such a time saver. Everything is so quick and easy to use, point and click. So check it out. I'll see you in the next video.